All right, and recording in progress.
And that
Starbound.
recording is in
Let me actually
progresso.
adjust this camera so you can see a little bit more of me. There we go.
Yeah,
Um,
I have to adjust too and make sure the angles are
yeah,
right.
this is weird. This is the first we've done a virtual one before for Starbound, but we have not done a Zoom. Well, how did we do it last time? I don't even
We
remember.
haven't done virtual Zooms because before we were still just audio.
I think we called and then we used Audacity or something like that.
Yeah, we had two different mics and then we used Audacity and we put them Johns together. But now, because we have been doing video, it's a little bit more complex than what it normally is.
Right. But a challenge is always fun for Starbound. Do you know what I'm
I
saying?
do love a healthy, good challenge. So this is fun. I feel like every episode we do something different with the setup. You know what
I
I
know you
mean?
got to switch it up. You got to say, I'm still in the booth. Sean, you want to tell the people where you are and what you're up to?
Yeah, okay. So I don't even know where to begin with this story. I was basically chilling, doing my normal thing about 2, 3 weeks ago. And then I saw this post that J. Cole did, and it said, Yo, Dreamfest, and it showed the whole lineup for this year. And for anyone that's seen it, there's a little plus sign from like next to J. Cole's name, and it says Drake. And for those of y'all that know I'm a huge Drake fan, you already know I'm a huge Drake fan, but I'm also a huge J. Cole fan. So seeing that J. Cole plus Drake, seeing them share the stage together, I was like, I gotta go. I'll see y'all later. So that's happening in I think 2 days now, technically speaking. It's in 2, 3 days. I'm out in Maryland right now. I'm gonna be going to North Carolina in a couple of days. But while I'm here, I'm here. We still got podcasting to do.
Yes,
So
sir.
yeah,
Yes, sir.
man.
The concerts go on, but so does the podcast. So
So does the
every
pod. So does the pod.
yeah,
I'm committed to the pod.
I know. We still only missed 1 week in that original week when Jacob visited back in like October 3rd. What was it? It was like October 30th through like November
What you talking
4th
about?
when Jacob visited. That was the week we missed.
Oh, we missed that week?
Yeah, it was the Crusades and Escapades.
We should have recorded for that week. I don't know why we didn't.
It's because it was like newer, so like we didn't like by the time Harry got here, that was a lot later, and so we were like, all right, well the podcast is more built into our routine. But that was an earlier episode. That was like episode 8 or something. So
We were babies then. We didn't know how to keep the train going. Now I feel like
that's
rain or shine, location, it don't matter. Like we're always ready to record an episode. So
exactly that's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
How was
Anyway,
how was traveling? Your
traveling
your
was not too bad.
your blur is kind of distracting because it keeps like
You want to complain about my blur now?
well, I just noticed it because it keeps like unblurring on the right side. See, it's like your curtain.
Yeah, I see
Like
it. You want
it's
me
just
to? Okay, hold on. Hold
I
on.
just want people to have the best experience when they're looking
No,
at you.
please
You
let
know what
me
I'm
go
saying?
ahead and see if I can change the background. If there's options here. What is this, whiteboards? What does this do?
It's okay.
Hmm.
You can just leave it if you want. It's
No,
up.
no, please. Let's take the time.
All right, no. You know what? You're talking about how you're changing the background. That's not the most exciting topic. So I'll entertain the viewers in the meantime while you
No, hold
figure
on.
that
Let me
out.
just mess with the curve. Yeah, I entertain them for like 2 seconds.
Okay. What's up, everybody? I hope you're having a good week so far. I know I'm having a good week. It's been pretty crazy. It's been pretty hectic in terms of, I guess I would say like in terms of business, but business and
All right, shut
socially, it's
up. I'm ready.
oh that didn't change anything. It's still like doing the
No,
same
it's
thing.
blurry.
Okay, it's blurrier. There you go. Oh, perfect. Okay, that's better.
Blurry,
That's better.
man.
Well, we'll take it. We'll take it. Take what we can get. I like how it looks like you're talking into like an ESPN microphone.
Today on the opening news.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
We have new this, new that today. Anyway, I just got a haircut like
Oh,
today,
dude,
so
yeah, it
I'm
looks
looking a little
fly,
different.
bro. You look great. Yeah.
Looking a little different, looking a little shinier than I normally
Where
do. You feel
where
me?
was it your usual barber or did you go to a new one or is it
Was my usual my usual spot that I like to go to.
do you only
So
get your haircut when you go back to Maryland or do you sometimes get it in LA too?
it's both. It's both. I like to
Yeah.
use Maryland as like a reset button anytime I come back here. So
Right.
I switch it up.
I
But
love doing that too.
I
Yeah,
also
it's
get
like
them. I also get them in Los Angeles. I just don't trust LA. Like I haven't, when you have like all your roots in one place, and so developing roots in another place is like, I don't know you. You don't know how I like things yet. Like I don't know if I can trust you. It's a
I understand.
process.
I understand. Yeah, I've gotten a few haircuts here. They've been good. I gotta go to this one place, but like, I haven't cut my hair in a minute. It's pretty long. It's like the longest it's been in a long time.
I was just saying, bro, when we were living together, I mean, we're still living together, but like I can every time we have a conversation, I don't know what to look at because like I
Yeah,
can't see your eyes. So I'm just like,
it's actually kind of nice because like I find myself relying on my sight. I might have talked about this, but like I find myself relying on my sight less. I know that sounds like
you think
I'm
you're Daredevil
capping,
now?
but no, I mean here's the thing, bro.
This
Like
man thinks he's
when you
Daredevil.
start like I literally sometimes I'm skateboarding or something and I can't see that well because like look at this, bro. I can't see that well. There's
I
hair
can't
in
see
my
you that
face.
well.
Exactly. But A, it keeps the flies out of my eyes. It's a little buffer. And B, it actually like on I don't even think it's just sight. I think it's because like well it is sight, but it's because my like I don't have 20/20 vision, so like sometimes I'll be
Oh, you're
skateboarding with
blind anyway.
yeah, like so sometimes I'll be skateboarding without contacts in fact most of the time I'm skateboarding without contacts because like I
Does that
hate
sound like
wearing
should we put a hazard saying, hey, just because Kevin does this does not make this the safest way to skateboard? Like,
yeah, sure, if you want. But my site is not like so bad to the point where it's like that. You know what I'm
oh, okay.
saying? Like it's
Okay.
not like, yeah, I can see people. It's just there. I probably couldn't read the text on their shirt if they were like 20 feet away or something like that.
I'm just saying that same logic, but you were driving, people would light you up for that.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned that because that's like one of the reasons that I had to get glasses in the first place is because like initially I had like good sight until like junior or senior year of high school and like I just noticed at one point that I couldn't read the board from the back of the classroom like so
Did you
then I
think you
was
were
like that's
delinquent at
kind of
first?
weird, yeah, and then I noticed I think this was junior year and yeah, I remember in World and stuff with
Mm.
Mr. Euler. That was a good class. Yeah,
Euler.
he it was his class that I was sitting in the back and I couldn't read. I remember from the
Uh,
board. And then yeah, and then I was driving and I remember like I could tell that it was a no turn on red sign, but I couldn't read it because I was starting to lose my sight. And so I was like, oh, but yeah, I mean, there were definitely a few times where I drove where, without glasses. Like, yeah, because my vision is not like that awful. Now, is that bad? Yes, but I don't have like the thing on my license. I think for people glasses it says BJ, right? I think
it
so.
says it says it says it says what?
I think it says BJ. I think that's literally what it says.
Really?
Yeah, if you have glasses restriction in Maryland or something like
How do
that.
I get
Anyway,
that?
you gotta get worse sight, bro. Mr. 20/20 vision.
I know my 20/20 vision,
I
man.
have to go blow my nose, but you have a Sean only podcast for a little bit.
This man finds any excuse to have a Sean only podcast, bro. Anyway, let me entertain y'all. Hello, welcome back to the Sean only podcast. Let me keep you up to date on just what life has been for me in general. Um, Recently I've been switching up art forms. As some of you may or may not know, I've released my album called Leaving Saturn. Go check it out on all streaming platforms. Um, but now that that's done, I need to start picking like what art do I really want to nail and lock in. So Leaving Saturn was great. It was a great experience as just an artist releasing that and being so vulnerable with it and like letting it go. And now I'm switching back into I wouldn't consider it my primary love because I feel like deciding what's your primary and secondary love is kind of it's weird, like picking children. But I'm switching back into film now, and it's been such a great experience because I feel so much more developed as an artist because of Leaving Saturn, where I can treat my next film differently. So I've been in the writing process. I'm not gonna lie. Everyone has their part of filmmaking that they love. Some people like directing, cinematography, writing, editing. Everyone has their different pick. But for me, not that lighting, not that writing is my weakest point. I don't think it is, but it's definitely it's something I struggle with. writing compared to other things. There's some other filmmakers that writing is like it's like second nature for them. For me, I feel like I have to take a really long time to understand it, process it, put as much of myself into it, and then take it out. Did you just come back from the rodeo or something?
Yes, sir. You know, it's kind of funny because I could hear you while I went to blow my nose because like I still have my AirPods in, but I assumed you
Oh,
couldn't
that's
hear me.
funny. You heard me flame you?
Yeah, I heard you say. Yeah, I did. I heard every word of it, bro. What the f
Okay,
was that?
good.
What if
I
you
was
said
just
some really
talking
messed up
to
stuff? I know.
sorry,
I
man.
No, it's okay. I forgive you. Yeah, the writing bag. Yeah, and we have a little collective thing kind of going on for
Oh, I thought that
writing.
was supposed to be on the low.
Oh shit. Well, I'll say nothing more.
Okay, okay. But
You have
yeah, it's
to. Yeah, I'm not bleeping now. That takes too long. But you can,
no, I feel you.
if
I
you
feel you.
really are
It's fine.
curious.
They can know. I think it can be public information that we have a what's it
Squad.
called?
A squad.
We've joined the Illuminati of writing. That's what
Yeah,
we're trying to
exactly.
say. We joined
Um,
the Illuminati of writing.
yes, sir. What do
Anyway,
you?
I've been in like my writing bag now, and I find it challenging just because when you see a really good scene, right? And I've seen a lot of good scenes, and you think about like, dang, how does somebody write this, right?
Right, right.
Now I'm the writer trying to write that very scene that you're like, dang, like how'd they write that? So I'm
Dude,
like,
right, right. Especially when it's like visuals. Like it's like especially when it's like no talking. It's like a lot of times in plays, you know, you can read the stage directions and there's like a lot of information, right? But then
yeah,
other times, and that's sort of more like I feel like that's helpful. It's like the blue cupboards or like this or like that. But I feel like in like movie scripts, there's not usually as much explanation of the nitty gritty of how exactly the apartment or whatever looks. Like a play, a
yeah,
lot of the
it's
time has a full
weird.
page set up for that sometimes.
It's weird. It's film is a very visual language, so a lot of scripts only describe what you see, but scripts intentionally leave it kind of bare bone
So
because
you
they
can
want
adjust.
the director, the cinema. There's other artists that are going to come
Yeah.
in and fill in their parts of the art form into the
Yeah.
composition. So
You're
as a
right.
writer, you can't be too detailed on what's going to
Yeah.
happen because it's going to change.
You're right, and it depends on the
So
playwright too. It depends on the playwright,
also
because
depends on the
sometimes
playwright.
they want to be more descriptive, like Tennessee Williams, who does give a lot of details.
Tennessee Williams doesn't leave a detail out, man. That the
Yeah,
directing is in the script. You don't really got to do
yeah,
nothing. You just sit back, let the
yeah,
actors work on their characters, and you let it go,
yeah.
you let it fly.
Speaking of plays, I finished Much Ado About Nothing yesterday.
You did.
I did.
No way.
Yeah,
No way. How was it?
it was awesome. It was really fun to read, and some uh some parts of it were more challenging to comprehend than others, but I really tried focusing on I focused on line by line and tried to really understand each line before I moved on, basically. But sometimes you just got to keep reading because there's too like the words they're too confusing, so you need to keep reading the scene to get the context of the scene to be able to go back and read it. You know what I'm saying? But once I got in the
Yeah.
mojo of like understanding it, then it was a lot easier to understand. By the end of the play, I feel more equipped to like read more Shakespeare, like way more equipped, basically.
I was
Like,
gonna say, since we're talking about writers, how do you feel Shakespeare's style of writing is? Does he lean on being very descriptive or very undescriptive? Is that the word?
it's interesting. So there's actually like they draw from different like three different types of like things. One's called like the quarto, and one's like a manuscript, and one's like it starts with an F. I can't remember, but they're like three different versions of the scripts. Because sometimes it might be like Shakespeare's like direct manuscript they think, but these are like remember these are from like the
They
16th.
think.
Yeah, these are from the 1600s, so they don't know for sure. But like
Oh.
one of the reasons that they think that I think Much Ado About Nothing, like the copy that most people have is Shakespeare's actual manuscript, is because there's characters that he writes in and then
Mhm.
he doesn't use. So they think it's almost like a unfinished script. I
Oh,
mean,
that's kind of juicy.
it's finished, but like in story. But there's like, for example, there's this like wife to like one of the guys or something at the beginning, and
Mhm.
she's mentioned, but then she's never brought up again. So like that's an example of something they think might be an indicator of it might be like this version of the script might be close to, I think the way they worded it was like close to the table, like close to him writing it on the table, basically. Whereas,
I see. So it's finished, but it's not like polished.
right, whereas other versions of the scripts, they are more so adapted for the stage. So maybe they have to take out lines that are too edgy for the whoever they're perform wherever they're performing and whoever they're performing for, or the other actors have, uh, cut things out here, cut things out there. So there's really different like variations and varieties of Shakespeare scripts, and it just kind of depends on which ones people can get their hands on. And a lot of times they're a combination and different translations. So you'll get like a different version of Much Ado About Nothing, and it'll probably be slightly different. But the cool thing is, at least in this one, is that it gives you information about why it made certain decisions and why it cut out this and why it cut out that. And the intro and the forward was actually really interesting. I talked about it last time about the whole like Shakespeare backstory and
Yeah, I was
stuff
gonna
like
say.
that.
So you did. So what you read, was that the script, or was it like more of a analysis of Shakespeare and the script? It
Um,
sounds like it's a little bit more than just the script, from what you're telling me.
oh, well, Shakespeare's interesting because if you're talking about like it just has like an overview of Shakespeare, like a lot of books have kind of for like
Mhm.
playwrights in like old plays, and then you jump into the play, the script. But like what I'm saying is like there are different like apparently from what I can understand is that like there's different ways to get Shakespeare scripts because they're so old, right? So like
Right.
imagine you write a script on your desk, right?
Right.
But then you have to go through editors, you have to go through producers, you have to go through all these people, even actors that might improv, and your
Mhm.
screenplay that comes out in book form later looks completely different than your original handwritten script. So like I think what they're saying is that what they think is that Much Ado About Nothing is like closer to the original handwritten scripts than some of the other ones, which some of them might be closer to the final production script, or some of them might be somewhere in between. It just depends on what they can find because it's so old. There's no computer stuff for it. They're just documents, they're papers, like scrolls probably. I don't know. Honestly,
Scrolls.
I don't know. But like you get what I'm saying, right? Like it's interesting when you think about it like that because a lot of times in art we think of once we drop our art, it's done. But like with Shakespeare, it's like yeah, they were done at a certain point, they're performed, but like that doesn't like what's more accurate? Because there was this discussion about is like the play as it's shaped by the actors around Shakespeare and the production company, is that a more accurate form because it's what was performed on stage? Or is the original intent of the author more important? And so you take what Shakespeare wrote on, on the desk.
That's
Um,
actually a huge argument in the film world because there are so many different authors when you think about it when it comes to movies, right? You have the writer, and then you have the director, and then you have the editor, and all
yeah,
three of them have completely different visions on how this movie is supposed to go.
exactly.
So most times it's given to the director as the author of the story. Um, and a lot of directors are also writer directors, so they do both.
Right.
But then there are those combinations where there's the writer who wrote the original screenplay, and then the
Yeah.
director just adapted it, but then the director gets all the credit. So I
Yeah.
mean, it
Well,
depends.
Shakespeare was a playwright actor, apparently. So like he
Performed
wrote,
it
but
and
he
wrote it.
also performed. Yeah. And so it's really interesting. And the end of the play was really fun.
Authorship, I think is what it's called. I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah, I was saying the end was really fun. The end was probably the most exciting part, actually.
That's what
Because
a lot of Shakespeare plays for me. I feel like that middle part you can get kind of lost in the sauce, but that ending is going to be pretty fire.
this one's short enough. It's actually a very short read, so that it doesn't feel like overwhelming or anything like that.
I see.
Yeah, but I'm intrigued to see what comes next. I think I'm going to Richard the Third next, or King Lear. Not sure which one I
Mm.
want to, because like
Yeah, I was gonna say. So, what do you feel like Shakespeare, just from the script that you read, right? Is it descriptive or not descriptive?
um oh right, I didn't answer that original question. I would say it's not descriptive as far
Oh,
as like staging goes, because I would say like a lot of it, like there's staging, but it's almost like there's so many like rooms and scenes, and like the stage just kind of had to be adaptable to like characters hiding behind a curtain here or being on top of a balcony there, that it
Mhm.
seems like it was more so when like more Shakespeare plays were either one set that turned into different sets, by just kind of moving slight objects around rather than having huge set scene changes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so if and I know you just read this particular one, but do you feel like there's another version of this script that is a lot more descriptive, or you think that's just Shakespeare's style of being not very descriptive so that they can adjust each performance?
I think it's when I say not very descriptive, I mean, yeah, it's like, okay, this character hides behind
In terms of like
blank.
scene and setting and blocking and
It
like,
doesn't even say like hides behind tree. It said, well, it might, but it's like usually like there are like fancy words for like what they hide behind. It kind of tells you like, but it's, yeah, it's adaptable. Like you said, because so it can go be on any stage and stuff like that. From what for at least from
mm,
this one, I can't really speak for the other ones because I haven't read. I mean, I read Hamlet in college and King Lear in senior year of high school, but I can't remember that much
I'm
of how.
torn in terms of scripts for films because I used to be very bare bones and then it became more descriptive. And then
Yeah,
I'm now writing kind of somewhere in between because I've read really good scripts that are very bare bones and let the director just work. I've
yeah,
also read scripts that are extremely descriptive and tell the director kind of exactly what they need to do. Even like the
yeah.
gaffer, like I've read scripts that had specific lighting cues written into the script
Yeah, this is not like that. This is
instead of
not
other
like that.
ones.
This is like raw, like mostly. It's mostly raw dialogue. And a lot of the time, that's a cool thing is that you can actually interpret it like different. And sometimes they don't even know which character said what because like in one
That's
version of the
silly.
script, one person says it, and then another version, another person says it. For example, I think I'm allowed to spoil Shakespeare. I think that's past the 10-year mark.
Shakespeare is far beyond
Um,
the spoil point. So
so basically, there's just one part where Leonardo, who's like I think he's like the governor of Messina is his title, and he's like marrying the characters at the end. And if you don't know, like comedies with Shakespeare usually is like ending it means it's not like actually. I mean, it is funny, but it's not like it usually means they get married at the end, and then tragedies usually mean they die at the end. Like that's like what they taught us in school. It's like that's kind of how you anyway,
this
so
is
this is
how
a
it
comedy.
goes.
Yeah, this is a comedy. And so at the end, there's the two characters that, it's enemies to lovers. And Leonardo has this line where he basically, or it's suggested in the like bottom text that he sort of shoves them together so that they kiss. Right. So he like says a line and he's like, just go ahead and kiss like that. But in this version, I think they gave it to Benedict, and it's Benedict and Beatrice. Like it's his line, so he's asking her, like he's going to kiss her instead. But like it changes the meaning a lot,
That
and
changes the
then
motivation a lot.
exactly, and so that's why you get so many different versions of like movies of Shakespeare because like there's so many different interpretations just in the lines, in the words, in the metaphors, in the similes. Because like you can, the cool thing about Shakespeare that I really admire is that it really does seem like he tries to say as many things as possible with one line, so that it could be
He
like
does
there could
a
be,
lot.
yeah, so there could be a pun on it, or there could be this, or there could be that. And the cool thing about it is that this one was written very well. So that there was like a pun that I didn't understand because the translation, it wasn't even translated, but it was like, say you might read a word like in this version, like you might read it the way that people do say it today, but it might not be how it used to be pronounced. So there's a rhyme, but it doesn't work because you don't even understand that it rhymes because you pronounce it differently,
Mm.
because it's like we don't say certain words like they did back in 1600.
Right, the rhythm is off.
Right. So it'll tell you sometimes with like the little circle and the footnote that
Exactly how to say it.
it'll tell you how it was said. And then you're like, and it's like, okay, it's saying this because it rhymes with this. And you're like, oh, and that really helps with like understanding it and stuff like that.
I see. That's
Yeah,
pretty
those,
interesting. Well, which do you prefer? Do you prefer it being incredibly descriptive or up for interpretation? Because I think the key difference is that one of them will tell you exactly what the writer was trying to convey emotionally, and
yeah,
the other will tell you what, I guess, whoever the performer slash director wanted to tell you emotionally. So
it's a good question. It's a good question. They definitely both have their ups and downs. I think like right now, because I just read Much Ado About Nothing, I'm definitely leaning towards Shakespeare's way because there's so many there's so much freedom. Like you could just do whatever you want and you're still technically being as accurate as possible or whatever, right? Like you're not, you know what I'm saying? Like you're doing the script exactly as it says. You're not, so it's, yeah. And then like, then you could argue that if you, do Streetcar and then or something else and you don't do the right, like you don't make the doors the right color, then you're not doing what the playwright intended because
That's
they
what I
told
mean.
you what
Like,
color
there's some scripts where it's like
like
the reason why these things are in the script is because it's telling a particular story, and if you change it, you're messing up the story.
right. That's
So
fun as a challenge, and it's still fun to act it. Like as an
you said
actor,
that's for fun, but that's not really what we want to do.
that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. No, it's not true.
You said it was for fun.
Um no no
We don't
no
take that seriously out here. That's just for
no no
that's
no.
just
I'm
for
saying
fun and
that would
games.
be I'm saying that would be a fun challenge. Like that would be a
Okay.
fun challenge. Like, but would I personally tackle that challenge? Probably not. But I'm not a director really for plays. I've never directed a play before. I've only
I
directed
actually have
videos.
directed a play,
Yeah, The Exonerated.
The Exonerated. That was a great show. That was a
Gary
great,
Gogger.
fantastic show. I'd do it again. Shoot, I'd make that into a movie.
I wore a cowboy hat for that one.
You did. You did? Is that the same one?
No, it's not the same one. I didn't get this one until a year ago or something like that.
Oh, what happened to that other one? It's gone.
That wasn't my hat. That was like a prop or something in Miss Mac's room, I think.
Oh, dude, that was so many years ago. I
Actually,
remember
was it?
nothing.
I don't know if it was a prop or not. Actually, I can't tell. Yeah, I don't know.
That was a while ago.
Anyway, yeah, I've never directed a play, but there's fun in there's a lot of fun in the challenge of doing it exactly as the playwright intended if they're overly descriptive. But as far as like as far as it being a injustice to not do it verbatim, I think I disagree. um the reason being because there's always going to be the perfect adaptions that people can do, but part of the beauty of where you can perform and when you can perform and how you can perform, much like Shakespeare, is that they had to work with what they got. If it was like a small theater, they had to, work in a small theater. If there was, some problem with, you weren't allowed to use the line because the royalty was showing up that night, you had to change the line, right? Like it's kind of the
Mhm.
same how we had to perform at a church and watch kind of what words we used because we performed at a church. Like that's part of the beauty of the process, right? That's like writing to directing to production in play form. Again, you're arguing, you know, if you want the playwright's original intention, you can read what the playwright wrote, or you could probably go to, my guess is it would be usually a more expensive production that tries to make it, exact. But if it's a cheaper production and it tries to make it exact, that's a really fun challenge. It would definitely be challenging.
The challenge is, how do we do this with only $50 in our pocket?
That's what I'm saying. Like that's what I mean. Like it would not be a bad challenge. Our free meeting will end in 10 minutes, by the way.
That's so sad. I'll
But
try to make my point brief, but
yeah,
it's different in the film world because for films, you don't people don't like to do adaptations of films that are already made. So
right,
usually whatever is written for that movie is the only version of that movie. So you kind of have to be like,
right.
I don't know, it's
Well,
a bit more tricky in that sense.
yeah. Well, technically, for lines for acting on stage, you're not supposed to, get lines wrong on stage, right? But
People say that, but I'm like, bro, this is live. Anything could
that's what
happen.
I'm saying. It's live. Like, yeah, you could technically probably get into some legal ramification, but I feel like it mirrors
It's live.
yeah, it mirrors jaywalking. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, even though some people apparently get like messed up for jaywalking, but usually you can get away with jaywalking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Like,
saw this clip like running around on Instagram of I think it's like the musical version of Beetlejuice or something like that.
oh yeah, I think
And
I've heard of
Adam
that.
Driver was like sitting in the audience watching, and the guy that's playing Beetlejuice, he saw him and he changed the line to say like, Adam Driver, you killed Han Solo. That's messed up. And I
Really?
was like, whoa. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it
Like
like I think it added a lot of uh like life into the
yeah.
show because it was like it was live. You know what I mean? Like Adam Driver
You
was there
right,
tonight, so you can
dude.
say this.
Sometimes, it's whether it be a two-page monologue or it be because you get lost in the moment, you suddenly forget where you are. It's like you have to be able to improvise as an actor, and you're most likely not going to get into legal ramifications unless it's on maybe if it's on Broadway or something, then maybe you would. I don't really know about that, but
I don't
I mean,
think so.
we've done so many like plays that we weren't allowed to do growing up too. It's the same
I
thing.
think the difference is it intentional or not, right? If you
Yeah.
change a line or any line way ahead of time and you practiced it that way, then that's not really part of that live element, and that could probably give you some legal ramifications. But if it's just
Yeah.
like we're going
Movie
right now,
movie
something happens,
scripts
like
for scripts you could do that for sure. I mean, like for screenplays, because like that literally is like verbatim word for word. I mean, same as plays, but
screenplays, it depends on the director too, because some directors love it when actors will
improv.
improv on the spot and come
Mhm.
up with something with more life. And other
Right,
directors like hate that. They're like, no, you got to do what this writer says, or else
right.
we're all screwed.
It's
So
not live, so it's like you can watch it back and make sure that people said the lines correctly, or you can probably
yeah,
sue
exactly.
as
It's
a
weird.
right.
I feel like with film, there's almost like a perfectionist idea of like this film has to be the definitive version of this story. So that
Right.
you try to get everything right.
Yeah.
Because again, like people don't adapt films into other films. You're not gonna get someone else's version of The Dark Knight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's
It's a different
remakes.
perspective.
There's remakes though.
Yeah, even in remakes, do you see them doing like the same lines? The same. I haven't seen a remake in a while, actually. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't
haven't.
know,
I don't
but
watch them that frequently.
the last remake I saw was House Party, and they did completely their own thing. It was basically like a sequel. You know what I
Usually
mean?
film
So
remakes have different scripts. You know what I'm saying? Usually,
exactly. I don't see someone's adapt. It's not. It doesn't feel like an adaptation. It
right.
feels like you're taking the same like concept and then you're just
Yeah,
doing it again.
exactly. Yeah.
So, which is lazy.
Um,
I'd rather see an adaptation.
um,
Ooh, wait,
well,
that's a
yeah,
good
well, I mean, there's a
idea.
time and place, bro, because like obviously for play movies, you're gonna use the script. I think that's what's fun
Well,
about
that's
Shakespeare
different. Those are
movies.
designed. The plays. I feel like plays are designed to be adapted, right? That's the whole point.
I don't think they're designed to be
The thing is,
adapted
you
to
can
what?
have different film versions of a play, especially Shakespeare. He has like a
Yeah,
million different film versions of all of his scripts.
right.
But if it's literally a screenplay first, right? I have not seen a screenplay that's turned into a film be adapted into a different film, but the same
Yeah.
script.
You know what's interesting? There's some stuff that's made to be both from the start, like Kick-Ass, the movie was made
I
to be
heard.
like a movie, yeah, and a comic book from the get-go. And they're slightly different stories. So I would be
Really?
intrigued to see a play and a movie that were the same concept, but like slightly different stories and stuff like that. And then like they were both dropped at the same time. That actually kind of reminds me of a project that one of our friends is working on, but I won't mention the name for leaking purposes. But do you know what I'm referencing?
I feel like I might have an inkling, but I
I think
don't
you know.
want to.
I think you know. I think you
I
know.
don't want to spoil
Yeah.
anything.
Anyway,
You know
we
what
have
I
five
mean?
minutes. So like, what do you want? What else have you that you want to cover that I feel like you always forget. There's always something that you wanted to get to.
I feel like I said what I wanted to say today. Again, I've been in my writer bag. I've been studying a lot of film. I feel like my aesthetic has changed recently. I listen to a lot of movie score music now.
Yeah.
I do a lot of research on how to write, how to direct,
Yeah.
different camera angles and camera movement. Like I've been sticking that YouTube channel, Studio Binder. I've been watching them like glue, bro. I'm watching like
Yeah.
analysis of scenes. I've been obsessed with movies recently.
Yeah. And I've
So
been I've been obsessed with like words and writing and like
in bars, putting
in
them bars
bars
down.
and prose, I guess.
Pros.
And like words like prose.
Oh, pros. I'm gonna
Yeah,
say
and
I'm like, I mean, we're pretty
yeah.
pro, but you know.
So I'm excited to move on to the next book. There's just one I have. It looks interesting. It's like a King Arthur adaptation, but like trying to decide if I want to read that first or if I want to read another Shakespeare one first. I'll probably read a few pages of this one, then decide.
I'm
But
still commit to my writing process on my end. I'm currently in the process of writing a short film, and it's going really, really well. And the only thing that I think sometimes holds me back is maybe it's like a subconscious like writing block. Sometimes I feel like I'll be writing and then I stop and I'm just like, I don't know where to take this now. And it's like,
yeah,
I don't know, the first part was so good, but where do I take it?
yeah,
So that's something I've been
yeah,
researching a lot.
yeah,
And again, I just recently got back into writing movies, so it's not going to be like my first
yeah,
script, 2 seconds it's done, I'm
dude.
out of here. I got to
A
turn it
lot.
into like
Yeah,
what's the word? A routine.
a lot of times for me, you know what works is like I'll be reading the page and I'm like, I can't process this right now. Like I can't understand what it means. Like the wording is too tricky, right? Like what the
Right.
do I do? Because I don't like Googling it because it's like, a lot of people didn't have that. So I like trying to figure it out on my own with the context clues and stuff. So I go sometimes to a different location, like to the restaurant down the street, and I'll just like get like a coffee, sit there, and then sit down and read, and then it makes sense on the first try. And I feel like it's the same for writer's block. It's like you don't know what to do. Because if you're taking a story from like from something that's personal life, sometimes you don't know the end of the story, and that's tricky. So what do
Yeah, you
you
got to
got?
write that ending, man. We want
You
to
got
see
to
it.
either you got to play out the narrative, see what happens, and then write it, right? Or come up with the narrative that would be exciting, right? Or
Yeah.
just change your location, pace, like think, brainstorm in whatever way you can, whether it be writing down in your notes or walking around. Like,
So you think like getting new stimulus by like new locations is
yeah,
kind of the key to breaking that block.
yeah, my sister's a writer, and ever since, like, Ashley's always been pacing around the house, like, constantly, especially, and I think that's usually a writer's block thing. That didn't usually happen to me, but ever since I've been writing a lot more recently, I found myself pacing the exact same way Ashley does. Like, I didn't think I used to do that, but
The
now,
writer's pace.
yeah, now I do it the same. And I'm like, is that like genetic or did I like, no, but because it just happens, like, I don't mean to do it. And then I'm just like, I find myself walking around the house like this, like scratching my chin. I'm like,
What are you
yeah.
thinking about? Like where to take the scene next or something? Or like
I'm like,
what?
what's the logical next step based on the character's action? Or
Yeah,
like,
that's a
where's,
writer thing.
yeah,
That's a I do that too, where like
yeah,
I'll be scratching my chin. I'll be like listening to something. I'll be like, all right, so let's if we did and I'm like thinking of like ideas.
right. I'm like, no, that's not right. But a lot of times for me, sorry, I'm just like speeding up because we have 1 minute. It's
I
the
know, I
word.
know, I know, I know.
For me, it's also the wordplay. So I'll put like one mantra or something in notes, and I'm like, nah, I can make this mean way more than one thing. And then I adjust it until it has as many alternative meanings as possible, while those meanings are still they still make sense. I don't want them to be random meanings. I want them to all be meaningful meanings.
Mm,
But yeah, and I'm getting a lot better at that. I really am, I think. So
that's
it's and
good,
that
man.
Shakespeare helps a lot with that. And it's been really fun.
I think we're gonna
Anyway,
have to wrap this up. I think we're
yeah,
out of time. But if you don't hear us again,
yeah.
this is your boy King Kudjo and Two Chains.
And this is Cough Drippy. Till next time on Starbound. Sorry it was short, but I hope it was fun. So
I
have a
hope
good
you had a
week
good time. So
and tell 29, I guess. So this is 28.
exactly, man. Two Chains.
Peace. All right.
That was pretty good. I like that
Yes.
one.
Yes, sir. So do I. All right. I'll catch you later, bro.
All right, man. Two Chains.
Peace.